Good morning, everyone. This is Jeffy Kennedy, author of fantasy romance and romantic fantasy. I'm here with my first cup of coffee. It's good. Even without the latte part, it's good. Today is, say it with me, Friday! Woo! Chair dance. It is January 7th, 2022. We are completed our first week of 2022. Amazingly enough, little known fact, did you realize that this means we are 2% through the year at this point? Isn't that amazing? I have that on my spreadsheets, of course, where I keep my treadmill walking so I can keep track of how many miles I walk and therefore how far in the year I compare it to how far the year has progressed and how close I am to my goal, which is not on track so far because my treadmill will only go so fast because it's dying. But I get my new treadmill tomorrow. So super excited about that. For those of you who don't know, I have a walking desk. I walk on the treadmill and while I work, and in good times when the excuse me, I'm a little hoarse today. When the treadmill is working well, it's, I can do like 7-10 miles a day. It's been less than that lately. I try to do at least 6, but it doesn't always work out that way. So this time for the treadmill, I paid the extra money for the heavy duty treadmill. So very excited to have that working again. Writer Coffee yesterday was very fun. Melinda Snodgrass joined us for a little bit. And then also were out of town visitors, Marianne Maharanj and Susan Lee and Alex. I can't remember what his last name is. Jim wrote it down. Who is working on his first science fiction story and has written a couple books on finance. So Jim Sorensen, who is all about finance, found a new friend and was very excited about that. So it was really fun. Marianne had someone take a picture of us. She's smart with the social media that way, and so I'll post that picture. And Susan Lee is working on a Marco Polo historical fantasy romance, which sounds pretty awesome. So we had a long and wide-ranging conversation. We sat there and talked writing and industry and debated things like, is there work that you can say is objectively good or objectively bad? It was interesting because people seem to agree that you could decide that something was objectively bad, but not whether or not something was objectively good. We were talking about the changes in children's romance, children's literature, children's books in general, whether a person can, like an adult can get something out of it. And it's an interesting topic to debate. I guess there was a Facebook debate about it, which I didn't see, but it was a question of whether, if a book is targeted for someone of a particular age, does it retain that value for someone else? And I used the example of Susan Cooper, and Marianne said, no, her stuff held up. And then the conversation moved on, so I didn't get to come back and defend my point, which now I will to you guys. But, I love Susan Cooper's books. I have them on my shelf, that 5-book series, The Dark is Rising and so forth. So then I think it ends up with Silver on the Tree. And I even have callbacks to it in the Mark of the Tella for you alert readers. So yes, I really believed in those books, loved those books, but I did go back and read them, and I feel like the fantasy doesn't hold up to an adult mind. So there, Marianne. Um, yeah, it's interesting, but is that the only metric of whether something is good? Is like whether it holds up over time, which a lot of people want to use. I knew an artist once who said that, sort of proclaimed. I have a problem with people who proclaim rules, but he had said that you could not put contemporary references in your writing because that would date it and make it be not art, because it would not stand the test of time. And I thought, well, do I agree with that? I don't agree with that. I don't think that that's, I'm not sure I agree that the metric of whether or not something is good is whether it stands the test of time. That might be one particular way of looking at it, but I'm not sure I agree. Um, sometimes it's all right for something to be good in the moment. And sometimes something that is spot on with that captures a contemporary moment, uh, maybe that's a particular kind of brilliance, right? And I come back often to the example of Jane Austen, which certainly have stood the test of time, at least this amount of time. And it's she has some references to things that were going on at the time, and I think it's one thing that makes her books interesting. There are things that are timeless about her books, but it also captures a very particular place and time and set of social constrictions. So, no, I just don't believe in this. Don't put contemporary references in your books. Like somehow the art is a thing that takes place outside of lived experience. I object to that idea. But it was a terrific day. And Marianne commented in her Facebook post that she was reminded of why she had loved conferences and why she missed them. And I thought that was a really good point because, just there is no replacement for that getting together and sitting around a table over a meal or over drinks and having long conversations. Um, it's just, you don't have those kinds of conversations online. They just don't occur in the same way, which is unfortunate. There's just a thing about being with people. So, and then last night I had drinks with Megan and Charlie. Megan was very amused by my lipstick stained interior of my mask, so she made me take a photo of it. And I've already seen a couple of comments. I posted it to Instagram, with people saying they stopped wearing makeup. I'm on video now so much that I'd started wearing makeup um, much more consistently than I was before the pandemic. And then there's an event tonight. I mentioned this on yesterday's podcast at Beastly Books, John Cocteau Theater. Marianne will be talking and interviewed by Susan. So I'll go to that tonight. That'll be fun. It'll be more peopling. So that's great. And oh yeah, so along lines of conferences, we were talking about, Marianne said, who's going to conferences this year? And I said, we're still trying to do the in-person Nebula Conference. We had a meeting about it yesterday, and we're committed to doing a hybrid conference as best as possible. And it's just that the situation keeps changing. But last night, Charlie told me that Omicron had already spiked in South Africa and was on its way down again. So maybe we'll be in good shape. We want to do that, that in-person conference so that people have a chance to get together and talk to each other. Just like that. So let's see. Where else am I at? I did manage to get, I think I mentioned on yesterday's podcast, I did 1,000 words before I left yesterday. That really helped because I did not get that many after I got back because I talked for a long time and then had SIFWA board meeting in the afternoon. And yeah, I don't know that I have a whole lot else to say today. I must be hoarse from talking to people. Isn't that funny? Uh, all of this not talking to people, and then now we are. I am boosted though, so and we don't have much Omicron variant here in Santa Fe yet. So hopefully things won't close it down again too much with Omicron raising its ugly head. So I'll pause you guys for a moment. I had to go check on the hubs. He is about to leave on an errand, so had to go have a conversation with him. So I'm so good at this pause button now. So let's see. What else? I think my Friday episodes tend to be short, don't they? I'm kind of done by Friday. Yeah, just sort of start running out of steam, and maybe all the talking to people. Yeah, it was just really fun to have writer conversation with new people. Um, we had an argument about sex scenes versus fight scenes. There are still people think that fight scenes reveal as much about a character and character transformation as sex scenes. I still don't believe it. Marianne said that she said, conceded that there were not many really good fight scenes, but that the ones who are good are really good. Which, okay. And I said, okay, well, name one. Name a, I want to read the really good fight scenes. And she said, well, the sword fight in Princess Bride. And I said, okay, I'll concede that one. But then it was like, what else? And they did refer to a scene in the Expanse books, but it's a later Expanse book. And I have not read the Expanse books. So I haven't read the Expanse books. I had to pause there for a second. But I do have Leviathan Wakes on my Kindle. So hopefully they won't kick me out of New Mexico for not having read Ty and Daniel, who write us essay Corey. I'll catch up. It'll be interesting to see what you guys think. See, I left my office door open because I thought my husband was leaving, but he keeps coming back for yet something else. So that's why I keep pausing. So yes, there's a scene in Leviathan Wakes where they were talking about the fight scene, which I think is interesting because it sounds like it's actually a closed door fight scene, because they said there's somebody pulls the trigger and then it goes to the aftermath, and that it's really brilliantly done. Sounds like off the page fight to me. So those of you who have read the Expanse series, maybe you know the scene, but I'll have to wait until I get to it. I think it'd be fun to read that series. Jim is good about telling me what he thinks I will and won't like. We've known each other long enough and read enough of the same books. They were also talking about Three Body Problem, which I've thought about reading. And I asked Jim, I said, would I like Three Body Problem? And he said no. I was like, that's what I thought. He said that he thought that I would enjoy a lot of the Chinese culture stuff, but that I would probably not find the science fiction compelling. You see that little flash of light? If you're on video, that was my husband finally leaving. Spouses. So yeah, the other thing about having dinner with Megan and Charlie last night, Megan and I talked about burnout. I gave her a copy of the book, and she had a lot of interesting thoughts on it. So it was fun to chat with her. And she was calling it book club. Charlie was saying, well, maybe he needed to read it. And we're like, no, it's for women. You can't. We were not being serious. Reader, we were teasing him. But it was fun because Megan is someone who I gave her a paper copy because that's how she prefers to read. And she had highlighted and underlined sections. So it was fun to flip through and see what she had picked out. She did say that she felt like she had gotten everything she needed from it in like the first 100 pages or something like that, the first 20%. Or that's not 100 pages, I take it back. um, anyway, the chunk she had read she had not finished, and she felt like she had gotten everything out of it and that the rest was filler. And I do think that is something that can be a problem with self-help books, because they want them to be a sufficient length to like to make it saleable, right? You can't sell a 50-page book. But I do think that I read another one recently that was like, yeah, all the good stuff tends to be, like a whole lot of it's explanation, and then there's, like the gem of what they're trying to get across, and then the rest is kind of filler. And it's sort of like, where in the book is this little nugget placed? Yeah. So, all right. Well, I'm not going to sit here and putter on. I should have a good writing week this week, although I am feeling a little faded today. So we'll see how I do. But right now, if I get 3,000 words today, it will be the best week I've had since like September. So perhaps the new method is working. One would hope. All right. I'll remind you all that First Cup of Coffee is part of the Frolic Media Podcast Network, and you will find more podcasts that you might like at frolic.media/podcasts. And I will talk to you all on Monday. Have a wonderful weekend. Um, I'm going to try the unplugging thing on Sunday with the phone and stuff and see how that does. So you all take care. Bye bye.